Alright, I'm going to make a preface video because the computer I'm about to show you is ancient. Dell no longer makes them this way. The newer computers, the one in the video is like 2017. I think it's a 2016 design, sold in 2017. However, the newer ones, the fans just plug right into the side. They're not underneath the motherboard like I show. So this video is just for entertainment purposes only. I mean, if you actually have an Alienware laptop that is this old, surprise, surprise, you're in the minority. Anyway, so watch the video for your entertainment. It's much easier to perform this task in a newer one. Thank you for watching. Okay, so I'm gonna play the sounds before I do this repair video, so you heard that already, and I'll do a little before and after in at the end of the video. So I have my new fans. This is an Alienware. This is an R5. My fans came with some tools. I doubt if I'll use them. They are different. So you can see there's a large area and a small area. The fans are identical, however the bodies are a little bit different. We'll change those out, and what makes this job difficult is it plugs into the bottom of the motherboard. So we're going to have to take everything out except the keyboard and the battery to unplug this and plug this back in. So fun stuff there. So we will flip this over. We will see some dirt. Actually, I've cleaned this out once already and it went quiet. I knew that didn't solve my problem, but it worked for a while. So if you want to clean the fans, clean everything up, you might have a chance at it. So step one is to take this back panel off. I believe this screw does not come out, so let me take the screws out. Okay, I believe I was correct. This screw is not coming out. So now we'll just take the back panel off, and it kind of clips in place, so you'll be prying it off. It all bumps out, and you can see this screw does not come out. It actually has a travel stop on it. So that is that. Clean this up. Yep, plenty of dust on there. Let's see if I can show it. So we'll get this all cleaned up. Now the very first thing you want to do is unplug the battery right here. So we'll take this out. There's usually a locking tab on there, and we will unplug. Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just putting the flat blade screwdriver right in there and just kind of pushing it out. Now we have the battery disconnected. And the fun part is all these are labeled. See, it says battery, don't you? But that was underneath. So if you're going in this for the first time and you don't know what is what, it's going to be kind of difficult for you. But anyway, because of stuff like that. Alright, next is fun stuff. There are a bunch of screws here. Where's my finger? There we go. They are all labeled M 2.5 by length 8 or similar. They're all labeled. Little spot in there. You can't read black on black, but you know, if the light's just right, you can read it. So we want to find all those and take them off. They are scattered all over the place. If you look on the board, here's one, here's one, here's one. You know, they're everywhere. But the only tricky part is the Wi-Fi connection right here. It's underneath a little paper tab, so you got to be careful there because the wire kind of feeds in around, twists around. I'll show you that detail when I get to it. Alright, I'm also going to tell you I'm going to use a magnet, but you need to be very, very, very careful with a magnet. You don't want to either damage the data in the computer or damage the computer. Just be very, very careful with magnets if you use them. As I'm taking the screws out, I realized I need to remove the memory cards here, so let's do that. So I'm just going to move these little metal clips out of the way here, and it should pop right up. Of course, I'm on camera and it's not doing that, but there we go. Pops right up. We put them aside. And continue on. Also, I'm going to be unplugging everything. So this one's pretty easy. Also, I'm going to unplug everything, being very careful. If there's a locking tab, you want to loosen the locking tab. Take it out and then pull the wiring harness off of the plug. Just delicate, carefully. You know, I'm going to be, oops, wrong way. Going to be removing the hard drive, and also this is a hard drive over here, the SSD-3 hard drive over here. 4 screws, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. The wire was routed through this little hook here and plugged in. You just pull straight up to unplug it. So that was pretty easy. You also want to stay organized. Keep all of your hardware together, and I do it in the order of disassembly so that I can reassemble it back the other way. The SSD-3 here has a hold down screw, so we'll take that out, and once that is clear, this should just come right out. Fun stuff. That is a tiny little screw there, so we'll need to keep track of that. I know I said I'd go this way for disassembly, but pops up, pulls out. Put it by the screw that holds it down, which is probably off camera. Yep, off camera. Let me zoom in here. See, I have the screw next to the drive, so I know they go together. You know, stuff like that really helps. Alright, these 3 power ribbons, wire ribbons, whatever ribbons they're called, they have locking tabs that you need to pull up. It just slightly clicks out of the way. That releases them, and then you can just pull them out. Just be careful, make sure they pull straight up or slide out, whichever way they go. Just, you know, pay attention to details. If you do break the locking tab, it's not the end of the world. They aren't going to come out when you reassemble. So If one end breaks off here, you just put the ribbon in place and then put what's left back on to lock it down. Alright, you should also note these aren't your traditional connectors. In other words, this is just a ribbon. You know, there's not like a plastic, like electrical outlet kind of thing that you plug in. So just be careful of all that. Alright, before I like to take the backing off, let's see here. Gonna have to take the backing off before you take the back cover off. Before I do that, I'm going to take out the wireless Wi-Fi card, if you will. So you lift up the tab, there's a screw right there, and then it's free. Also, after you remove the screw, there's this plastic cover on here that my hands are in the way of. So there's this plastic piece that slides on the back of the card. You are going to need to know how that is oriented to get it back assembled. I mean, there is no backwards or forwards or anything. There's only one way. Oops, hit the camera. There is only one way for this to go on, and you'll need to know how, else you will not be able to keep the card locked down. Alright, so you get the wires free over here, and the card can be moved out of the way, but it's also routed in here, so it's just free so the panel can come off later. Alright, next we're going to take the back panel off. The back panel just comes right off. It's pretty easy. On both sides are identical except, you know, left and right. You just kind of pry this back a little bit. Of course, I was prying in the wrong place, but you just pry this back a little bit and unhook it. Let me zoom out and show you that it was literally that easy. You know, you shouldn't have to fight this thing. Alright, that exposes some more screws that you have to take out before the panel is completely free. I believe there's 3 M2.5s by length 8 screws. 1, 2, 3, I believe. So let's get those out. Okay, now this is where it gets fun because it's like one of those things that's not intuitive. So before you can take things apart here, you know, we have all the screws out of the base, all of the cards, everything we can remove is basically removed. We don't have to worry about this is actually the base speaker. You must remove the lights that are on the side here. So we'll take out this silver screw here, and there's like a plug-in, and we'll have to deal with that. It's a LED light. It just shines itself down this rod here. So let me look at that real quick. Alright, let's see if I can get this out of here without messing up too much. Show this on camera. The fun part is putting it back together. So we'll take the little plastic piece out that holds the LED and the rod together. And now this should be free if I'm not mistaken. I'll let you know in a minute. See, there's the rod right there. It was wrapped up in a shield. So let me see if I can get that off of there. Okay, I said let's see if I can get it off of there, but really what that does is it allows me the freedom to lift the backing plate off. Now we have to be careful because of our Wi-Fi connection. So when we lift it off, You need to make sure that's clear, and we can go around and lift off the other side and get it all cleared off. So I took my screwdriver and I had to pry out the side over here just a little bit and pop it up, and then I did forget one screw over here so it wouldn't come up completely. Now you see it is free. I can take this off and move it to the side. Hopefully the air conditioning is not too loud. Sometimes the camera just amplifies it. Next is, I like to take off, let's call it ductwork for the fans. You don't have to, but I do like to remove this ductwork out here. So we'll go around and find all the screws that are holding this down and remove them. Alright, I found 6. I found 2 by the fan, 2 in the center, and 2 by this fan. So I'll take those out, and hopefully the last screw right here. I just forgot, as they say. And I'll count them all up when I'm done here. Is it off? Let me see if I got it. Yep, that did it. So we have the ductwork, as I call it, off. Put it aside over there. Let me count the screws for you. Okay, I had 7 small black screws that went in the center area of the ductwork, and then 2 screws next to each fan, 2 silver screws next to each fan. So that's what I took off of there. 7, 2, and 2. Okay, and here we are now. If only life would be so simple. So here are the fans, all loose. So I should just be able to change them out, right? Wrong. They are plugged in underneath the motherboard, and you just can't get them. And even if you could pry the old ones out, I honestly do not know how in the heck you would put the new ones in. So it's off with the motherboard. Alright, looks like 4 screws are holding the motherboard down. I have 1 here. It looks like a screw's missing, but there's only 1 here. I mean, that's factory. I have 2 over here and 1 in the back. I see a lot of places where screws go, but they're not there. So it's 4 that I've found. If I find any more, like I did with the ductwork, I'll let you know. Alright, the tape around the battery was dry. You know, it really wasn't sticky anymore, but I did move the battery. You know, this is like the backup clock battery or whatever, out of the way, and I unhooked it from the bottom down here. Hooks in underneath there, underneath that silver metal tab. We'll get the battery out of the way. Make sure all of your cables are unhooked. I actually missed this one. So let's see if I'm free now. Alright, I also missed this red, white, and blue plug-in right here, so I needed to take that off. Those LEDs, I don't know what those are, but anyway, I had to unplug it from the motherboard, and that should free everything up. Let me go around and see if I got everything. Okay, well, I keep missing connections. So there was a connection right here. I'll show you. I missed this connection right here. It was plugged into the motherboard there. Then over here I have like a USB connection here. I was going to try and leave that in. I think I can lift the motherboard up high enough to get to the plugs. There's also two things plugged in underneath here. I was going to see about leaving those. Let me take a look. Alright, so I am able to remove the fans because it was taped. Not even on camera, sorry about that. So it was taped to the bottom of the motherboard, and it's plugged in this way, so I can get this one out. And over here on this side, It is also taped to the motherboard, and I can pull it out fairly easily. There they are, they're out. But we're not done yet. Alright, let's look at our new fans. This is the larger one. So this side looks okay. However, this side does not. So we're going to have to transfer this cover from this side over here. Same thing on the smaller fan. We're going to have to transfer the cover from the old one to the new one. The other side's okay. Now these are some of the smallest screws you are ever going to come across. If I can do this on camera. So we'll take this one out. Take this one out. This one's a little easier to access, believe it or not. And now we will transfer the cover off of the old fan onto the replacement fan. So we'll get this all lined up, put the teeny tiny little screws back, and do the other one. Okay, the smaller fan is actually much more robust. It has reinforced areas for the two screws to go into, where the larger fan, or the fan with the larger area, they're identical fans. See, this was robust, and this one was a little teeny tiny little thing off to the side, so you want to be careful with that one. And don't forget to clean off the back of the plate. Didn't mention that on the other one. There is dirt everywhere. Okay, and you can look down this side and see how far down you've gone. They really don't go flat. They stick up a little bit. That's about as tight as you're going to be able to get it. And you can just feel the screwdriver. It's just snug. I know you can't feel. It's only a visual on a video, but just get them snug down. Make sure they're not sticking up. You can see the threads if they're sticking up too far. Alright, now it's ready for reassembly. Okay, for reassembly, the wire is down and the exhaust goes to the back. See, it's all closed up. There's your exhaust. That'll go to the back. So this one goes here, and this one goes here. Alright, let's plug them in. Okay, if you want to give yourself a little more clearance, you can take the USB port off here, 2 screws. That'll give you a little more clearance this way. On this side over here, you can lift it up and spin the computer around, lift it up, and plug it in that way. Let me show you. Alright, you can lift it up. Now you have plenty of room. You plug in your wire. So I'm all zoomed in. I just got it started. You will feel it go in. You'll feel it click into place. It might even make a clicking noise. So now we need to rearrange everything back, make sure any cables that we unrouted are tucked back into their various spots, and we can put our USB board in there. This can still be loose, but there are other wires that I took off. I took them off their routed path. They need to be tucked in. Make sure any wires that you freed up so that you could move the motherboard, unless of course you unplugged everything, are rerouted back to their original routing position. Alright, so we are now ready to reattach the motherboard to the frame, if you will. So you want to make sure everything is plugged in underneath here, and you want to make sure your wireless LAN is up out of the way, your USB is up out of the way, all the plugs that get plugged in are up and out of the way, your battery is up and out of the way, so you can maneuver the motherboard into position to set it in place and screw it down. Okay, I have everything plugged in except the battery, but don't forget there's a battery over here for the clock that I never unplugged. So there is power going in, so do not assume that there is no power on the board. Alright, next are the fans. There are 2 screws on each fan, so make sure on this fan with the wireless LAN that the wires are correct, and this is above the board and out of the way. And then on the other side, that it's free, that it fits in the slots. Here, I'll show you close up. So there are 4 posts that the fans sit on. Be sure and put them on correctly. And we'll get our silver screws and put those 4 on, 2 on each fan. Okay, I did have an issue. This one screw would not start. It wouldn't start. So I take the fan out, the screw would go in and out. It wasn't cross thread, it wasn't damaged. The threads on the posts were okay, the threads on the screw were okay. I just couldn't figure it out. So I ended up just getting a drill bit and removing some plastic. Just made the hole a little deeper. Also, this kind of flared it out because the screws are, see, the screws are kind of flat like that. So I just gave it more room to sit down a little bit, and I got a few threads started, and now it's tight. But it would just spin and spin and spin, drove me nuts. So that's how I solved that problem. Little defect in the molding. I don't know what's going on with that. Alright, next is the ventilation system with our 6 lockdown points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll put that in. And lock it down. Oh wait, I needed to inspect it, make sure it was clean, so I'm going to blow all this out, make sure it's all clean before I begin. See a little bit over here. These can really be packed. I mean, you'll be kind of shocked how packed they are. This is an intake. This thing could practically be white and completely clogged. It can be a real mess. Also, this, when you first take it off, it might be hard to take off because it's also a heat sink, and so it could be locked down in place, glued down in place, so you want to watch out for that. So you can see we have some chips here. So in addition to being a ventilation system, it's also a heat sink, so the heat goes up into the ventilation system and is blown out. I won't know until editing. Sorry about that. I think I said there were 6 screws. There are 7. So my apologies if I said 6 earlier in the video. Alright, we're ready to put the top cover on. We haven't put the hard drives or the memory in yet. Now you want to be careful with the LEDs. On the one end for the keyboard, we have these. They're set in place. And then on the other end, you may remember we took these off, so we have to make sure they're clear when we set the case in place. And we have 2 places to plug in the LEDs that go to the keyboard. Not these, they're already good to go. These are for right here. Sorry about that. Alright, I did make two mistakes. I'll show you what I did. The rear keyboard screw goes on back here, and one of the front keyboard screws goes on right here. So I need to move this one over. I already moved the other one. And the reason for that is the plastic cover that we were getting ready to put on next. There's a screw that holds it down and it goes in here. So I had this in the wrong place. So the orientation is such that you can see there's a little tab on the back. It will only go on one way. So we just put it on there like that. That curled down tab goes in the back, and we will have a screw going in here. Alright, so when I put this on, I need to get the wireless LAN through this little tab right here. Just kind of get that up and out of the way. We'll set the top plastic tray in place. We have two plug-ins to take care of, one on either side. We need to make sure our battery wire is free up here, and then we're ready to kind of set this in place and put our bazillion screws in there. Okay, you will snap the three edges in place. They'll all click. You'll hear them snap in place. You want to make sure that your LED lighting is clear and out of the way. Also, on your wireless LAN, there are two plugs. If it accidentally comes out, they just snap in place. You didn't break anything. This card can be replaced. These wires just pop off, and you'll hear them click in place. A pretty loud click if they do come out. Alright, so I'm going to set that in place. It takes a little screw down there. We'll lock it down and put in all of our other screws. You can tell where the screws goes. There'll be a little arrow, and it'll say M2.5 by length 8. Don't forget, you have to put these three screws on before you put the back cover on. Okay, in case you forget how it fits together, the Dell, you should be able to read the word Dell, and it should just slide on there such that you now have a place for your screw to go. So your screw goes in this half moon right here and through the plastic hold down clip. Alright, here you have everything installed correctly. Your wires routed underneath here. The white lead to the right, black lead to the left. Your plastic cap on top and plugged in. Alright, don't forget to plug in your LEDs. It can be tricky or difficult to see or easy to forget. Alright, so the screws are 3 in the back. There's basically 2 rows going across here. The one I had trouble finding, I had an extra screw left over. It went by the wireless LAN connector over here, and it's marked M2.5 by length 8, so get that one. There's one back here on the front center and one over here to the side. Nothing over here by the hard drive. So now we'll put in the hard drive, both hard drives, the RAM, and then we will plug in the battery. Alright, for the hard drive here, I started all 4 screws. Now I'm going to finish tightening them up, and then I'll plug it in the board. Okay, RAM is super easy. It's keyed. So we'll just get it started, push it in place. All good. Same thing with the SSD card, SSD hard drive. Just put it in place, screw it down. Alright, I put the cover back on. Then put my guide back in. Put my power back on. And slide it into place. Alright, if you have any screws left over, make sure any open ports you have has the hardware attached. So, you know, if later on you need to add another SSD card or something, the screw is there to hold it down. Okay, we're ready for our back cover. Just make sure it's oriented correctly. It should just slide right on. Click into place, easy peasy. And then our top back cover should go on. Of course, the vented area goes over the fans here, and I'm going to clean this up and then reassemble it. Alright, that's blown off. Now just put the cover on. Let's see, you can tell how it goes because there's like a pointy end. We'll go to the front up here. Don't forget you have one screw that did not come out. So it's still there, you have to deal with that. So I'm just going to push it in place. Want to hear all the clicking. So everything locks down. Put our screws in. Make sure everything's flush and flat. You can see this edges up here. I need to put that in place. Yes, I took it back off. I remembered I needed to plug in the battery. So it's best to start at the front and put it in because it has these little hooks on them here. So we'll get all of those in place and then let it down and tighten up this one screw that's semi-permanently installed. Alright, there we have it. And next is just to turn it on, make sure everything works. Hopefully didn't make any mistakes and have to go back in there and rework something. And that's pretty much it. It's a real pain in the butt job. I would say if you haven't messed with computers and especially laptops, this is really, really tough. I would say a 9 or a 10. You really have to be on the ball and pay attention or something's going to break or be put together incorrectly or damaged. Appreciate your time. Thank you for watching my video.